Hare Krishna. So on the occasion of Ekadashi, today we shall be singing this wonderful song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula भकत सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूला माधवती थी भक्ति जननी जतने पालन कोरी कृष्ण बसती बसती बोली परम आदर बोरी गौरामार्चे सब स्थान करोल भ्रमण रंगे जे सब स्थान करोल भ्रमण रंगे से सब स्थान हेरिबो आमी प्रणयी भक्त संगे मृदंग वाद्य शूनिते माना अवसर सदा जाचे गौर विहिता कीर्तन शुनि आनंद हृदय नाचे जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परम आनंद होया परम आनंद होया प्रसाद सेवा कोरिते होया सकल प्रपंच जाया जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया चरण सिधु देखिया गंगा सुकन सीमा पाया तुलसी देखी जुराय प्राण माधव तोषनि जानी माधव तोषनि जानी गौर प्रिया शाक सेवने जीवन सार्थक मानी शाक सेवने जीवन सार्थक भक्ति वीण कृष्ण भजन अनुकूल पाय जाहा प्रतिदिवसे परम सुखे स्वीकार करो ताहा शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजनानुकूल शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजनानुकूल भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूल Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai Shri Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Srila Gurudev Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupat Paramahamsa Purvarajakacharya Ashtotarsha Shri Shri Message Divine Grace Abhay Chanaranda Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karti Vachalam Pangalangayate Girim Yad Kripa Tamamande Shri Guru Diratarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hare Krishna. So we welcome all the duties for today morning on the discussion on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. I seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada as well as Gurudev Prabhuji and all the assembled Vaishnavas so that His Grace Hare Krishna Prabhuji so that we can discuss something worthwhile on these beautiful narrations on the life of Srila Prabhupada. And also we shall be discussing something from the life of His Grace Anandmaya Prabhuji and His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So this is from the 4th volume of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, 34th chapter. It comes the Jetech Parivrajakacharya. That how Srila Prabhupada was going all over the world and giving this message of Krishna consciousness and spreading the Bhagavad Dharma. Prabhupada had Shyam Sundar arrange a meeting with Professor Kotovsky and invite Captain Lal to come along. The tourist bureau provided a car and guide, and Prabhupada and his party rode outside the city to Professor Kotovsky's office in an old white brick building at the Academy of Sciences. When Prabhupada arrived, this Kotovsky dialogue is very, very famous. Many times Prabhupada refers to this. When Prabhupada arrived, the middle-aged Russian professor, dressed in a grey suit, got up from his cluttered desk and welcomed Prabhupada into his small office. Professor Kotovsky appeared a bit hesitant, however, more cautious than in his letters. When Shamsundar mentioned Prabhupada's eagerness to lecture before interested scholars at the academy, Professor Kotovsky flatly refused it. Would never be allowed. Prabhupada was disappointed. Jai Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada is directly in the Russian place, Moscow. And there he is meeting this Kotovsky, Professor Kotovsky. And he's asking that I would like to give this discourse in front of the interested students. He says no. The next moment, however, Prabhupada seemed unaffected and began speaking in his humble, gentle manner, sitting in a straight backed office chair beside Professor Kotovsky, who sat at his desk. Shamsundar turned on the tape recorder. Shamsundar turned on the tape recorder, which the professor eyed cautiously, but did not object to. So he was little worried. That time also some recording is going on. Nowadays also if some recording is going on, preachers are little careful. That time he was also careful. Prabhupada says, the other day I was reading in a paper, Moscow News. There was a communist congress and the president declared that we are ready to get others' experiences to improve. So I think the Vedic concept of socialism or communism will much improve the idea of communism. Professor Kotovsky listened intently and politely as his foreign visitor explained how the Grihastha in Vedic culture provides for everyone living in his house, even for the lizard, and how before taking his meal he calls in a road to invite any hungry person to come and eat. In this way, Prabhupada explained there are so many good concepts about the socialist idea of communism. So I thought that these ideas might have been distributed to some of your thoughtful men. Therefore, I was anxious to speak. So, whatever communist people have different ideas, Prabhupada is trying to take similar ideas from the scriptures and trying to tell him that telling that scriptures are also supporting some of the ideas of the communism that distribute to everybody, take care of everybody. It is not only the capitalist or only the higher classes of society are taken care, but everybody has to be taken care. Professor Kotovsky's academic interest was piqued. You know, it is interesting, he said. His articulate English heavily accented. As it is here in our country, there is now great interest in the history of old thoughts. He described the accomplishments of his colleagues and himself, particularly a booklet they had recently prepared highlighting Soviet studies in Indology. He said he would like to give a copy to Prabhupada. Professor Kotovsky says, you'll be interested to discover that we published not all but some Puranas, then some part of Ramayana, 8 volumes in Russian of the Mahabharata, and also second edition of the Mahabharata, translated by different people in full and published. Manusmriti is also translated in full and published with Sanskrit commentaries. And such was the great interest that all of these publications were sold in a week. They are now completely out of stock. It is impossible to get them in the book market after a month. Such a great interest among reading people here in Moscow and the USSR toward ancient Vedic culture. So, this is the beauty of a devotee. When a pure devotee meets any person, the subject matter is about Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the subject matter will be little different. Because Prabhupada is in front of him, he is discussing about like bhakti, what they are doing about bhakti literatures. Otherwise, he would have talked about some communist and this and that. Prabhupada says, among these Puranas, the Srimad Bhagavatam is called the Mahapurana. And he told of his own translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of Vedic desire tree. He would show some volumes to the professor if he was interested. Professor Kotovsky said, the Moscow and Leningrad libraries had nearly all the major texts of Indian culture in Sanskrit. These libraries housed not only ancient texts but more recent literatures as well, comprising an up-to-date study of Hinduism. Hinduism, Prabhupada interrupted, is a very complex topic and they both laughed. Professor Kotovsky acknowledged that Hinduism was more than a religion, it was a way of life. But Prabhupada explained that the name Hindu was actually a misnomer. The real term to explain Vedic culture was Varnashram. Briefly, Prabhupada described the four orders Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Professor Kotovsky says, you had told that in any society there are four divisions, but it is not so easy to distinguish. For instance, one can group together different social classes and professional groups into four divisions in any society. There is no difficulty. The only difficulty is, for instance, a socialist society in our country and other socialist societies. How can you distinguish productive group and workers? Prabhupada welcomed the professor's questions. Although grounded in Soviet socialist vested interest, Prabhupada considered the professor not so much an academician as a pawn of a Soviet university system, much as one political power tries to understand its adversaries. The professor was inquiring into Indian culture so that his government might penetrate it with their own ideology. So that means he's trying to understand the Indian culture and then he will insert his communist ideas into that. So with that interest he was asking. Behind Professor Kotovsky's apparent interest in Vedic culture, Prabhupada could see the view of Communist Party, the view diametrically opposed to Vedic philosophy. Nevertheless, Prabhupada tactfully continued to present Krishna consciousness in accord with Parampara, and he tried to convince Professor Kotovsky through scriptures and logic. So even though Professor Kotovsky was asking a question and he wanted to find out the flaws in the Vedic culture and insert communist ideas in that, but Prabhupada is tactfully presenting Krishna consciousness according to Parampara without giving any chance to Kotovsky to find out any loophole and convince him of the scriptures and the logic. Quoting Bhagavad Gita, a Shastra with which the professor was familiar in his own way, by the way, Prabhupada described Lord Krishna as the creator of the four divisions of society. Professor Kotovsky immediately countered with the theory of Soviet scholars that the Varnashram divisions were a recent addition to Vedic culture. He also again registered his own opinion that the division of Varnashram had no meaning within socialism. So according to communists, there is no division in a society. They want to make society classless. But according to Varnashram Dharma, there is a classification of society. So that debate is going on. So Professor Kotovsky says, there is a great distinction between socialist society and all societies preceding socialism. Because in modern Western society, you can group all the social and professional classes in a particular class or division, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or factory owners and Shudras, or menial workers. But here we have no Vaishyas because we have administrative staff in factories, managerial staff, you can call them Kshatriyas, and then Shudras, the workers themselves, but not this intermediate class. So they have difficulty with this capitalist or the Vaishya category of people. Those are like holding on to the business and everything. This communist people have the problem with capitalist. So that is the thing. He says, okay, other three classes are fine, but not this class of Vaishyas. They think that Vaishyas are the controlling people who are controlling the business and everything. So they don't want that. Other classes are okay because other all three classes are like workers. Like R&D department, Brahmana, they are working. Administrative department, they are also working. And Shudras are also working. But they think that this capitalist, although the middle class of Vaishyas, they control the whole economy and everything. So communist people, they don't want that, and capitalists they want only that. That is the problem. So Prabhupada says that is stated. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. In this age, practically all men are Shudras. That is stated. But if there are simply Shudras, then the social order will be disturbed. In spite of your state of Shudra, the Brahmanas are there. That is necessary. So if you do not divide the society or the social order in such a way, then it will be a chaos. That is the scientific estimation of the Vedas. You may belong to Shudra class, but to maintain the social order, you have to train some of the Shudras to become Brahmanas. It cannot depend on the Shudras. So as a social body is there, in a human body there is a head, hands, belly and legs. Similarly, in a social body there has to be head, hands, belly and legs. And the head, they perform the duty of the brain. Sorry, the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas perform the duty of the head part or the brain. They guide the society. So we can have the handless body or legless body, but we cannot have the headless body. Head has to be there in the body. And that is why some Shudras has to be trained into Brahmanas. And that is what is purpose is. That is the job of ISKCON. ISKCON is doing that. That they are training people into Brahmana class of the society. Brahmana class. Prabhupada gave his standard analogy. The Prabhupada is only giving that. Prabhupada gave standard analogy comparing the social body to the human body. All the parts are necessary. Not only legs, but the belly, the arms, and the head. Otherwise, he said, it will not work properly. As long as this is going on, there will be some disturbance. Modern society's missing point, Prabhupada said, was an understanding of the purpose of human life. They do not know what is the next life, he said. There is no department of knowledge or scientific department to study what is there after finishing this body. So when Srila Prabhupada went to even MIT, he asked, you call that you are MIT, but where is the department to study about Almighty? So where is the department you have to study about Almighty? You say that you are MIT, but where is the department to study about Almighty? There is no department to teach about the science of soul and other things. The modern society is missing point. That is the problem. Professor Kotovsky objected politely and completely. Swamiji, he said, when the body dies, the owner also dies. Prabhupada marked his reply. No, Prabhupada said quickly. Prabhupada quickly replied, this fact you must know. Why is there no department of knowledge in the university to study this fact scientifically? That is my proposition. That department is lacking. It may be as you say, it may be as I say, but there must be a department of knowledge. Now, recently, a cardiologist, a doctor in Montreal and Toronto, has accepted that there is a soul. I had some correspondence with him. He strongly believes that there is a soul. Prabhupada continued to build his argument. We accept knowledge from the authority. The professor countered that everything had to be accepted on the basis of empirical evidence. But then, in the mid-sentence, he stopped arguing and inquired, Have you many branches of your society in the world? Prabhupada began speaking about ISKCON, with its 65 branches all around the world, and of how he was going next to Paris, where his disciples had recently acquired a new center, and how the American boys and girls especially were joining his movement. He told of the 4 prohibitive rules: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, and of the books he had published. As Prabhupada described the working of his movement, Professor Kotovsky nodded approvingly. When Prabhupada returned to comparing Krishna consciousness to communism, he concluded that the two philosophies were in agreement and both stressed surrender to an authority. The devotee surrenders to Krishna and the communist to Lenin. Prabhupada says, our life is by surrender, is it not? Do you disagree this point? Kotovsky, to some extent you surrender. Prabhupada says, yes, to the full extent. Kotovsky, you have to surrender to society. For instance, the whole people. Prabhupada, yes, to the whole people, or to the state, or king, or government, or whatever you say. The surrender must be there. It may be different. Kotovsky, the only difficulty is we cannot have surrender to government or to a king. The principal difference is of surrender to the king, who is a single person, or to the whole society. So communist, their proposition is you surrender to society, and the Krishna conscious proposition is surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada says, no, that is a change of color only, but the surrender is there. The principle of surrender is there. Whether you surrender to monarchy or democracy or aristocracy or dictatorship, you have to surrender. That is the fact. Without surrender, there is no life. It is not possible. So, we are educating persons to surrender to the Supreme, wherefrom you get all protection. Just like Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, to surrender is there. No one can say, no, I am not surrendered to anyone. The difference is where he surrenders. And the ultimate surrendering object is Krishna. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavama Prapadante. After surrendering to so many things, birth after birth, when one is factually wise, he surrenders unto me. So it is amazingly, we can see that Prabhupada is so amazingly and emphatically establishing this principle of surrender to Krishna. First, he told everybody has to surrender. And then many people surrender to different things. But ultimately, that surrendering process finds its fulfillment when that surrendering is done to Krishna. When one surrenders to Krishna, and then the process of surrender reaches its fulfillment. And we see in the beautiful life of His Grace Anandmay Prabhuji and His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, that how they surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. His Grace Anandmay Prabhuji, he has come from Germany, France, here in the study of some architectures and to visit some Indian temples. So he was there in Himalayas, and finally he happened to come to Gaya. Finally he happens to come to Gaya, nearby that place, Bihar, where ISKCON devotees were having some pandal program. And because he was foreign bodied, so some children told him that your people are just nearby. Your people are nearby, white people. And he said, what my people means? So curiously he went there, having that curiosity, my people are here. So having that curiosity, he went there, and there were some devotees outside. And he started inquiring about what is this process and everything. They inquired, where are you from? And what is your purpose? He said, I am in a travel, I am in a journey. And I am in a journey of the finding about the truth. So then he said, our Swamiji is inside. And inside His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami was there. Inside His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was there. He was little sick, so he was lying down. And so Anandmay Prabhu came inside. And then he was having conversation with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was lying down only, and he was conversing with Anandmay Prabhuji. Anandmay Prabhu tells this very fondly. He used to tell with very fondly that what was his first interaction with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And when in the conversation he asked that I am in a journey, then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, your journey is over here. Don't go anywhere. And he said that tomorrow we are going to Kolkata, you come with us. And then next day he traveled with them to Kolkata. And the devotee shaved him. The first day, Prabhuji says that my one-time program was one day. One-time program. He was asking about our youth preaching. We tell that Prabhuji, over the 1 year we preach to youths and then convince them to join youth center. And then over the period, they may join full-time into the temple and everything. He said my joining was one day. Next day only he was shaved with a shikha, given a dhoti kurta and also bag in a hand for life member collection. So there one day everything. So that means that, and he surrendered also fully. And in 1972, when they came to Hyderabad with Srila Prabhupada for a Pandal program and the life membership programs here, then Prabhupada told him, you be here now and become in charge of Telugu BBT and publish the books in Telugu. And just see again next surrender level that Prabhuji, he was not knowing Telugu or something. He is from France. So he learned Telugu perfectly. writing, reading, everything. To translate the books in Telugu and proofreading it and publishing it. It's very amazing, very hard to fathom that some foreign person coming here and being, it is very difficult atmosphere also. Like it is very hot here compared to, so it is not suiting to their body and everything, but still they're living here and doing that thing. And then once when Tarun Mohan Bridge and we were coming from the cellar gate, Prabhu was packing some books. So we asked him, Prabhuji, why are you packing yourself? We can do it on your behalf. He was very old that time, almost 70 to 73 years old, more than that. And he says that I am not packing mere books, I am packing golden biscuits. So these are the golden biscuits which I am packing and everything. So he had so much love for the books. And when his uh, transcendental body was kept here in the courtyard, and around that all the books were there. So it was like very fitting send off to Prabhuji with the all books all over him and Bhagavad Gita on his chest here. It's very amazing to behold that. So that is the surrendering process. So that is what Prabhupada told. Surrender to Supreme. Your search is over here. And similarly with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, that he was in Montreal when he came in touch with Srila Prabhupada. And then he used to come to temple, sit in the one place and go on reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, Krishna book and Bhagavatam and like that. And he was just engulfing the books of Srila Prabhupada. And that is how he fell in love with Srila Prabhupada and the books of Srila Prabhupada. And that is why he used to tell his disciples that if you want, like double it. Every time, whatever scores you have, double the scores of books. And not only distribute the books, but read the books and distribute. And then the devotees informed Srila Prabhupada there in Montreal that there is one intelligent boy, Gopal, who is coming for the temple and everything. And then Prabhupada recognized him and initiated him as a Gopal Krishna. And then ultimately gave him sannyas. Maharaj took sannyas later on. And but that time he was grihastha and taking care of, like in India he was like a trustee, BBT trustee and chairman and everything. And whole property he was taking care, protecting the whole ISKCON property mainly in India. That is what Maharaja's main service. And he is in charge for so many things. In bureau, in ICC and everywhere. He was like a prominent person. And here when 1976, this temple was being inaugurated, he was present. That is why today we are having this Vyas Puja of Maharaj here in that memory, because Maharaj was present here in the inauguration of the temple in 1976. We can see in the photos behind there, Maharaj is there washing the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and taking the things and everything. And Maharaj was one of the caring person. Actually, GPCs were His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and his GPCs are His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj. But when there were some managerial things going on here, and His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj could not come that time personally because of his health, then His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj came. And spending time here personally, even though it was not his service, but still because of God brother was sick, so Maharaj came here listening to everybody and taking care of the things and giving proper guidance and everything. So that is what is their surrender for the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And again, in Dehradun, when he was in the last days in Dehradun, so he went to Dehradun because he felt himself that I am the host of this program. That is why I have to be there in the Dehradun. So that is how he went. There is another thing, when this our Kurukshetra land thing was going on, Maharaj just landed from Russia. He came from Russia and immediately took the road transport by car, and from Delhi to went to Kurukshetra. And whole day he was spending time for dealing with officials and everything. He did not take any prasadam or any thing. He was fasting. He told that till the time we don't get sign on these official letters, I will not take any prasad. So late night, it went till evening, late evening. And then when finally all the signatures and everything was done, when the land was registered on the name of ISKCON, then he took some prasadam. So that is how he was so amazingly taking care of the whole ISKCON movement, the property of ISKCON and everything. And Juhu, Delhi, and Maharaja's desire was there to have many temples in Delhi, and the devotees are fulfilling that desires to having many centers in Delhi, and each center is having a big congregation and everything, like Punjabi Bagh, Dwarka, East of Kailash and everything. That is what is the wonderful contribution of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and His Grace Anandamayi Prabhuji. So here even Professor Kotovsky is agreeing. Yes, one has to surrender, but surrender had to be accompanied by revolution, he said. The French Revolution, for example. He is saying the surrender has to be accompanied by the revolution. And devotees are doing that revolution actually. Not some French Revolution or that revolution. When they are surrendering to Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara, they are bringing out the revolution in the impious life of this world. That in Bhagavatam's introduction it comes that there is some pinprick, and there has to, this Bhagavatam is to bring the revolution in the impious life of this modern civilization, and that revolution devotees are bringing. So it is not enough to come. It is not. So it is not enough to come full stop. The professor argued. Surrender is to accompanied by revolt against surrender to other people. Professor, yes, the surrender will be full. So the surrender will be full stopped when it is surrendered to Krishna. That is full stop. No more surrender. Other surrender you have to change by revolution. But when you come to Krishna, then it is sufficient. You are satisfied. Just like I give you one example. A child is crying and people change laps. Oh, it has to stop. But as soon as the baby comes to the lap of its mother, then he stops crying. So then Prabhupada is saying that one may surrender at different places, but the surrender reaches to its culmination when one surrenders to Krishna. And the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada and his disciples are teaching us that. And Kotovsky also agrees. Yes, it stops. Yes, full satisfaction. So this surrender, the changes will go on in different categories. The sum total of all these surrenders is surrender to Maya, material illusion. But the final surrender is to Krishna, and then you will be happy. So Prabhupada is telling that whatever surrender people are doing in this world, they are ultimately surrendering to Maya only. But if they surrender to Krishna, that is the culmination. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam ki jai. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. His Grace Anandamayi Prabhuji ki jai. Hare Krishna. So now from 9:30 on, Vishnu Prasad, any announcement? So at 9:30 a.m., His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj will be arriving. You announce.
Hare Krishna. So 9:30 a.m. Gopal Krishna Maharaj will arrive here. So devotees can welcome in Kirtan, and then we will go with Maharaj to Dwarkapuri Hall, and there the program will begin with initial Kirtans. Hare Krishna.